Hi everyone, welcome back to Coffee, Books, and Rain, where I am still drinking my coffee. I realized when I went to go and top up my coffee, I ran out. So I am a little disappointed. It was chilly in my apartment when I got home from work, and apparently I drank all my warm coffee, so I'm a little sad. But it is getting later in the evening, so I probably should maybe take it slow. I can probably switch to a chai tea, or I can just switch to a peppermint tea and lay off the caffeine completely. But who wants to do that? I'm not a quitter. It's Friday. I can do what I want, right? Yeah, and I maybe not go to bed at 8 p.m. Okay, 9:30. Anyway, we are talking about Dawnshard. I have kind of been on a Brandon Sanderson kick, and while I am working on Wind and Truth, which I do plan to do probably a two-part review in probably one part in January and one part in February, I wanted to go ahead and do a couple of the novellas. I also had someone who reached out, well, via comments in my, in my comments, and just asked me about like Cosmere content, and they had asked also would I recommend them like focusing specifically like on the Cosmere if they're kind of limited on time, or like finishing the other series. And I don't think there's a wrong way to read Brandon Sanderson. I really don't. I think all of the books have such unique like feels to them that you can read them in whatever way you want, but if you are limited on time, you may feel like you are completing more with some of like the what I call one-off books, like Elantris. Elantris is a one-off book. It's not part of a full series. It's still technically part of the Cosmere, but it's not part of the overarching Stormlight Archives. Or is it Warbreaker? Is that the one with all the color magic or light magic? I think it's like color magic. That one's really great as well, but I think there's just the one. But anyway, that's one that if you know about the sword, then the sword, the black sword that likes is like, do you want to kill somebody today? The one that Zeth has, then you'll probably want to read that book, because then you'll see kind of one of his previous owners. So that's kind of a fun thing as well. The books very uniquely do live in the same universe, and that's why it's called the Cosmere. I still haven't yet figured out like maybe where Legion kind of lives, but what was it? Emperor's Soul supposedly resides somewhere in the Cosmere. Tress in the Emerald Sea is somewhere in the Cosmere, and I think we know that like the Sunlit Man and I don't know about Frugal Wizard, but anyway, let's just say that the Cosmere is large. There are lots of books to dive into, and that is why I also wanted to bring Dawnshard. Dawnshard is a novella that follows the story of Rysn, someone that we have met in some of the what they call interludes. And she's a Thaylen merchant who readers have seen in the interlude in Way of Kings, Words of Radiance, and Oathbringer. She has shown up in the past. And this novella also follows Lopen, which if you've read any of those as well, if you've read any of the Stormlight Archives, you know of Lopen as he is one of Kaladin's like bridgemen, but he's also like kind of like the one-armed Herdazian who, after he became radiant, his arm grew back, and so he still has all these one-armed Herdazian jokes. So he's this really kind of funny, lighthearted guy who I just find would be probably so interesting, very probably kind of annoying, but probably somebody that you would love to hate to love, if that makes sense. This book was really cool because I didn't know what it was about before I dove into it. And I was really intrigued. So I picked up the audiobook, and it was about I think 7.5 hours in my audiobook. And again, I picked it up when audiobooks were on Audible for like $3.50. So if they're ever on sale again, highly recommend. So, readers should know that it involves the mysterious island of Amia. Now, the island of Amia was not named in one of the interludes that it was kind of referenced in, if I remember correctly, but there was either an interlude or like a little kind of snippet where a ship or a crew go to this island, some mysterious stuff happens, and they disappear. And that's where this novella picks up. This was originally previously titled Wandersail. The name was changed as Brandon felt like the title would be misleading as to what the novella was about. And that makes sense. Although I didn't really know what naming it Dawnshard was going to be about. I mean, I thought shards because we talk about shard plate and shard blades quite frequently. But what was a Dawnshard? So he confirmed that the ebook Dawnshard was planned for release of mid-October of 2020. It was intended release before Rhythm of War, and physical copies came on later. Physical copies came out later. The audiobook was available in 2022. So, it is about 262 pages, so not very long, like I said. So let's dive into the synopsis a little bit. I'm not going to read this whole thing, but let's just say it's pretty darn good. When a ghost ship is discovered, its crew presumed dead after trying to reach the storm-shrouded island of Akina, Navani Kholin must send an expedition to make sure the island hasn't fallen into enemy hands. Knights Radiants who fly too near find their stormlight suddenly drained, so the voyage must be by sea. Ship owner Rysn lost the use of her legs, but gained the companionship of Chiri Chiri, a stormlight ingesting winged larkin, a species once thought extinct. Now Rysn's pet is ill, and any hope for Chiri Chiri's recovery can be found only at the ancestral home of the larkin, Akina. With the help of Lopen, the formerly one-armed Herdazian, and Windrunner, Rysn must accept Navani's quest and sail into the perilous storm from which no one has returned alive. If the crew cannot uncover the secrets of the hidden island city before the wrath of its ancient guardians falls upon them, the fate of Roshar and the entire Cosmere hang in the balance. So, it is very interesting because, again, I wasn't really certain what the Dawnshard was for quite a long time, and even after reading it, it was still a little murky to me. So I actually Googled it to find out, and so I want to go back to that part now that we've discussed a little bit about the story itself, and we will dive into that, but I want to go into what is a Dawnshard, because there was one person, and I believe it's on coppermind.net, which is also another wiki for a lot of the Cosmere works. So we are going to proceed because it popped up with, like, if you read this, there will be spoilers. So it does say Coppermind has spoilers for all of Brandon Sanderson's published works, so I'm prefacing now, which includes Wind and Truth. I'm not going to reveal anything from Wind and Truth in this episode. This is only about Dawnshard. But if you want it, they're all on Coppermind. And so I am only diving into what a Dawnshard is. Dawnshards are the 4 primal commands used to create all things. Each Dawnshard grants separate abilities, as well as powers accessible via any Dawnshard, and can supercharge invested arts, allowing for magic that transcends what is normally possible. So, it seems as though Rysn herself has been gifted one of these Dawnshards by the end of this story. Now, I know that's spoiling that a little bit. Yes, I am aware, and I probably will put spoiler in this title so people don't fuss at me. But if you don't know what a Dawnshard is, then maybe that doesn't spoil it enough so you can read and find out how she gets it. But it doesn't fix her the way that like Lopen regrew a limb. Let's just say all of her senses seem to be heightened through this binding of this Dawnshard. She seems to be able to tune into things a little bit better, which is quite impressive. And she does say after this particular trip, she's going to try to take some pretty benign trips, because it was quite a trek and quite a journey. They did tend to encounter some of these beings that were also almost like made of cremlings. So it's kind of like if you think of, I'm trying to think. I guess the best way in my brain is like, I think of, what is it? Well, I think of like this human that's been built out of bugs, and so they don't do the greatest job of putting themselves together because they're kind of like, you got seams and stuff, but they're trying the best to be human. But if you like go to attack them or fight them with swords, they're able to disassemble really fast, and they turn into cremlings, which I just picture like, I picture them like doodle bugs. Now, it's probably not what they look like, but in my brain, that's what I picture cremlings to look like. Is like, if you've ever seen a roly-poly or a doodle bug, that's what I kind of picture them to be. And I'm probably completely wrong, but that's my little brain making up its imagination thing. So I just, that's how I put it together. So these beings are on this island, and they've also been on the ship trying to prevent Rysn and her crew from moving forward with this quest. So they were given this quest by Navani, and so off they go across the seas to try to have this happen. They're supposed to actually be checking, well, one of the things is Rysn wants to see if by going to this island it will help heal Cheery Cheery, her little Larkin. Cheery Cheery has been very under the weather. She's looking pale. She's not flying. She's hardly eating. And so one of the ways that research has kind of been shown is that she's got to return to Cheery Cheery's home, which is Akina Island, or Amina, or this little island that they've got to specifically go to. And Amia, that's what it was. So they've got to go to this little, almost mystical island of Amia. And, well, that's Rysn's main goal. Navani sends the Windrunners, Lopen and his cousin Hunyo, and I think like a couple others. I know one of them is Cord, which is Rock's daughter. That might be it, just the three, perhaps, on this trip in order to kind of complete a task with her. Well, there's one more, but it's more like Navani's scribe or one of Navani's scholars in order to kind of complete the task that Navani needs them to do. But Navani is very hush-hush. She's like, okay, this is what I want you to go do. Yeah, go do whatever she wants to do too, but this is the task I'm sending you for. So they don't have, their agendas align, but they're not the same thing. So everybody's kind of keeping a little bit of things to their, like, close to the vest. It's just not the same. So as they're going on this trip, on this voyage, it does come to light that their grain has weevils, or grain has like little worms. And Rysn actually was taught by her Babsk, or her mentor, how to trade, or who she could trade this kind of grain that's been that's had worms in it with a specific tribe. So she's able to actually turn that into a good omen Then there is a xanthid, and those were, we encountered that with Shallan when she was on a ship. Those are supposed to be good luck when you see them because they're so rare. However, they see one that's deceased in the water. Well, Rysn says, okay, no, this is not a bad luck thing. We're going to turn this into a good luck thing. When they go to try to pull it closer because they're going to like burn it to kind of, they're going to try to, I guess, properly dispose of it, it turns into all these crymlings, and they're like, that was weird. I don't know what just happens. There's all these weird things happening. And then there's a huge storm, and so all these things keep happening that are supposed to be negative kind of omens, but they keep pushing forward, and Rysn, being kind of this master, I don't want to say manipulator, but she's a really good tradesperson. So she's able to almost kind of spin it. So she's like, well, no, it's not a bad omen. It's a good omen. We should continue on our way. No, and so she's able to put everyone's mind at ease so they're able to keep going. And then they find a rat in their midst, but not a physical little furry rat, but a rat. So someone who is trying to sabotage their journey. And from there, I'm not going to give the spoilers on that part. Yes, I gave you probably the bigger spoiler about the Dawnshard part. So I probably will go ahead and put that, put a little spoiler in the title just to make sure people don't think I'm trying to get away with it. But I'm going to go ahead and stop there because I thought the story was really good, and I thought it gave me some great information that is separate. It is still part of the Stormlight Archives because we still got characters that we are very familiar with from the Stormlight Archives. However, I don't think we would have ever gone on this journey within the Stormlight Archives because it wouldn't have been relevant to that specific journey. It wouldn't have mattered to the war and the battle in Kaladin and Dalinar and Adolin and all of them. So will we go back to Amia or Akina? I'm not sure. Will the Oathgate be opened over there? Who knows? We shall have to see. We're only 5 books in. Wind and Truth is book 5. We just got it, so we've probably got another 3 years or so to wait to see what happens with book 6. I hope I'm alive by the time we get all 10. I hope Brandon is still alive by the time we get all 10. Let's just cross our fingers. But until next time, I want to thank you so much for being here. I hope you enjoy all the content that we talk about here. I love talking about Brandon Sanderson, the Stormlight Archives, just his stuff in general, but I might also talk about the Reckoner series, because that is one of my favorite series as well. There's just something about it that I really, really enjoy, and y'all let me know. Is there a series or a single book within the Sanderson universe that may or may not be Cosmere? I don't know what you would kind of think about it, but is there a book that Brandon Sanderson has written that you would like me to cover? Because I will be glad to see if I have it out on my big bookshelf out in my living room, or I'd probably be willing to add it anyway. So let me know, and I will talk to you guys later and see you on the next page. I hope you have a great one.